we need to get into what you were telling me about your mother.
Beautiful segue. And I would love to go into that.
Well, let's go into it.
Well, all my life I've been interested, for some strange reason, I've been interested in aliens. And I don't know why. You know, when I was a little kid, for instance, my dad built this beautiful wooden swing set. And we lived in Venice, California. And I took the remnants of wood and I hammered them together into what seemed to me like a reasonable facsimile of a spaceship. You know, I think I had a couple of wings on it. I drew control panels, and I begged my dad to put this up on top of the swing set. And he finally relented, and he did that. I must have been 3.5, 4 years old, but I remember this really, really well. And I remember sitting on this thing in the backyard, and my mom said that I was up there waving at the sky, singing and waving. And she opened the window and she said, "Earl, who are you talking to out there?" And I said, "The space people, Mom. I'm waving to the space people." And that's one of my earliest memories. I do remember doing this. Another very early memory was, for whatever reason, I just had this deep interest that seemed to have been born in me for extraterrestrial life and outer space in general. I would surround myself with, we had the Life magazine encyclopedias that came out that everybody kind of had. And I would turn into all the pictures of rockets and planets and spaceships, and I would surround myself with those. And that was my fort. It was how I felt safe. It made me feel like I was safe. And I would sort of conduct my day from within my little fort of space aliens and rocket ships. And so for whatever reason, I had a natural propensity for this that seemed to have been born in me. And now that I'm in my 60s and I'm doing what I'm doing, I'm thinking, well, time and space are different for our visitors than they are for us. They seem to be able to see the whole tamale at once, and maybe they knew what I was going to be doing, and maybe there was a
Uh-oh. You still there? I think we just lost the signal. Okay, well, let's see. Okay, we just lost you. No, we just lost you for about 30 seconds, but you're back. You dropped out.
That's very strange. Oh, okay.
But, well, hey, I will say Dr. Irina Scott wanted to thank us for mentioning her name, by the way.
Oh, hi there. Hi there, Irina. Looking forward to hanging out with Dr. Irina when she comes out for the symposium. You guys be sure to come out if you're in the LA area. Dr. Irina Scott will be telling her wonderful story live in front of the Los Angeles audience.
And when will this be?
Well, I'll go back a little bit to my mom.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll try to recap a little bit. I just had this natural propensity, and this seemed to be this thing that was born in me that was interested in aliens and outer space. And so my mom told me a story. She told me that she worked for Howard Hughes. And we knew this over the years because I met her other friends that she worked with there. There'd be Aunt Ellen that came and visited, who wasn't really our aunt, but it was somebody that Mom worked with. And we all knew that, yes, Mom worked for Howard Hughes. She was one of his 2 personal secretaries. This was back in the mid-50s, so he was reclusive already at that point. So they would communicate daily over an intercom system, sort of like Charlie's Angels. He would tell her what he wanted her to do. My mom was a crack, stenographer. I remember her writing grocery lists in shorthand, and you could never decipher them, not unless you read shorthand. And my mom had very high security clearances when she worked for him. And, she would go to the meetings with different government officials, and so she kind of knew everything that was going on. My mom was very, very good at keeping secrets, but she thought that if she could talk to her little 3.5, 4-year-old, that I would forget what she told me when I got older. And so I think that she saw a little loophole there where she could actually tell somebody what she was doing. Now, she told me that she was sent out to the middle of the desert, that she had a little security detail. And she didn't say which desert. She didn't say Las Vegas or Edwards Air Force Base or anything like that. So to this day, I still don't know where she was. But they took her out to this shack. And she said that it just looked like a shack in the middle of nowhere. They walked her in, and there was an elevator. She said it was an Otis elevator, like you'd see in a high-rise skyscraper. But, of course, it went down. And it looked like a pump house or something that it was located in. Apparently, they didn't tell my mom much about what to expect. So she had her security detail. They waited for the elevator. She got in, and this thing kept on going down, and it kept on going down. My mom said that it scared her, that she felt butterflies in her stomach. When it finally came to rest, the doors opened up, and my mom said that they had a little city down there. She said that they got around in golf carts, that they had a movie theater, that they had drugstores, that you can get groceries. They had a barber shop. She said that she even had a guy that could do her hair that was under the desert. But she said that they were working on esoteric projects for the government, and that this was all, this was Howard Hughes's thing, is what he was, he was the head of, it's like now, the government will go out and they'll get different companies and give them projects, and I guess this was an early version of that. But as if that wasn't crazy enough, the story on its own, my mom would talk about aliens. She said that we knew, that the government knows that we aren't alone. Now, I found through the years that I could get my mom to talk a little bit more if I took her to a movie or something. I took her to see Star Wars, okay? And that was where I got my great reveal.
You had a plot in your mind, didn't you? You did that.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Because I wanted to know more. And my mom, she talked when I was a little kid, and I sort of did a show and tell when I was 10 years old, 4th grade. And it was sort of, what do your parents do? And I told my mom's story in class.
Uh-oh.
And the teacher called my mom out. And, of course, my mom had to say, well, Earl has a big imagination, and I got a big talking to that evening. She said, Earl, I was never supposed to tell you about what I did. I could get into really bad trouble. I could go to prison. You can't ever talk about this again. You can't talk about it. And I'm sorry that I had to act like you were kooky with your teacher, but you could have really gotten me into trouble. So from that point on, my mom was really closed-lipped. It was, what can you say? Loose lips sink ships, right? And I guess I could have sunk ships, with my little 4th grade class, homeroom. So the way that I found I could get my mom to talk was by taking her to movies. Sometimes a martini would help, but more than that, if I get her excited about the subject. So I took my mom to see Star Wars, and she became voluble and loquacious when the film ended. I'll never forget, the lights came up, the curtains closed, and my mom started talking excitedly. She was saying, son, Star Wars is not that far-fetched at all. It's not far-fetched at all. We know that there's intelligent life out in the universe, and it's much like what they showed in this movie. Star Wars is not, and she said, it's a very, very real thing, and it's realer than you will ever know. And that was kind of how the conversation wrapped up, was realer than you will ever know. Now, this ate at me for many, many years. And I would try to get my mom to talk more. Now, I got her to talk once when I was about 23 years old, 22, where I just point-blank asked her, I was like, Mom, tell me more about the underground base and tell me more about ETs. And she just, she raised her eyebrow. She looked, really mad, and she turned around, and she started walking down the hall, and then she stopped. She turned around, and she came back, and she said, I will tell you one other thing. You were down there. I said, huh? I said, what? She said, you were down there. She said, when I was pregnant with you the last time that I went to the little city under the desert. So you were there too, technically.
Yeah, you were.
You were there. So, that was that was one of the few times my mom told me something that maybe I didn't even want to know. It's a little scary to think about. But apparently, when my mom was pregnant, I was there, under the desert, a mile down. When my mom was on her deathbed, this is the thing that's really sad, is that my mom kept getting cancers. She would get them; they were unrelated cancers. It wasn't like it was metastasizing. She had ovarian cancer, she had uterine cancer, she eventually had bilateral breast cancer. And that's what eventually got my mom. The last time, it was 1999. And my mom was on her deathbed. I mean, she was at home. We were talking, and it had just come out on the news that there were workers that had worked at Area 51 who had successfully sued the government because they kept getting cancers from whatever it was that they were exposed to.
Uh-huh.
So I brought this up to my mom. I said, Mom, we should lawyer up. You should either join this lawsuit or get a lawyer and go and get a lawsuit of your own. Because we were not a well-to-do family. It's not like they took care of my mom like we were rich. We were very middle class and maybe lower middle class, especially towards the end of her life. My mom's reaction was, she said, son, I knew that there were risks involved when I went into this. She said, just like a soldier will join the armed services, so I was doing this for my government. I would never sue my government. She said, there were risks, and, this is, it was a delayed reaction, but if I'm going to die because of whatever I was exposed to, so be it. I'm proud of what I did for my country. And that was literally all she wrote. It was a 3 weeks after that my mom passed away. It was very, very moving to me. I think I understood why she did it. Now, you have to remember that she was working for the military, that Howard Hughes was a military contractor. And she did, when I took her to see the movie E.T., I got her to talk not much. She didn't say much, but what she said, it's a cute movie, son, but I don't think they're that nice. Quote.
Yeah, see, there's a hint right there, what I was talking about earlier. They're not that nice.
Yeah. It's not all Reese's Pieces. So that was now, but that does not dissuade me from the stories I hear of people that sort of meet space brothers and sisters and where it's all a positive. I feel happy for them and for the people that have the positive experiences. But, there are also the people that have the negative ones.
Yeah, but how do you, I had a guess, and I'm not going to say who it was, but at one time she claimed, she was an expert in UFOs, and then she started talking about there was 25, you ready for this? 25 million cloaked UFOs, going around the Earth, protecting Earth from other aggressive aliens. And I knew when she started talking about that's the problem. You never know how do you know if you're talking to somebody who has their oars in the water, bluntly?
Yeah.
When you investigate.
I don't know. You have to get to know the person. I won't close, high strangeness cases. It's not like I'll talk to the person one time and close the case. I'm going to want to talk to them multiple times. I'm going to want to talk to relatives if I can. I'm going to want to find out, and I'm an investigator. I will look the person up on the internet. Sometimes I'll find somebody who has a video that seems too good to be true, and I'll look them up, and I'll find a resume that says, so-and-so, I do CGI that looks realer than life, and then that's happened. I closed a case as a hoax last year that was a CGI expert, and it looked like CGI, but it was done pretty well, and that's what it was. So I do investigate. When I have a case that's purely through the experiencer research team, the philosophy there is a little different. It's not like a full-on Mufon investigation. If you fill out the questionnaire for the experiencer research team, I'm there to hear your story. I'm there to help you find help if you need a support group, or if you want to find a